never thought of myself as a real adventurous person. I've never jumped out of a plane. I've never scaled a cliff. See, I don't even know how to do it. It's probably not like that. I've never ridden in a motorcycle. I'm not all that adventurous, you know? As I keep saying, it's kind of boring. But I keep remembering that all this week, that line from Pope St. John Paul II, when at a World Youth Day, he said, "Life with Christ is a wonderful adventure." Life with Christ is a wonderful adventure. I think it's a different kind of adventure. It's the adventure of really finding who we are, as who God made us to be, and really the purpose for our life. And to do that, it takes, I think, just stepping out in faith. It's the adventure of just stepping out in faith, that God is going to lead us to where we're meant to be. We see that in our readings today. So in our first reading from Wisdom, it talks about back at the time of the Exodus, so that first Passover, you know, when the people were going to be freed from slavery in Egypt and be led into the Promised Land. And they had to step out in faith. After all these hundreds of years, when Moses said, "All right, folks, pack up your stuff, we're going." They had to take that step in faith. And we heard about Abraham in our second reading, who in faith was called to go to this promised land. And you know, the Lord said, "Just go, and I'll let you know when you get there." He didn't even know where he was going. He kind of uprooted his whole life and stepped out in faith to this place that God would have in store for him and all these descendants. He had to step out in faith when the Lord asked him to sacrifice his son. Now maybe we think in our own life, we think of the Exodus, we think of Abraham, like, well, my life isn't all that dramatic. You know, it's just kind of little old me. You know, I don't know if I have this big Exodus experience or this you know, Abraham experience in my life. But I think the Lord is still calling us to step out in faith, to lead us to that place that he wants us to be, which is, I think, more an interior place than some kind of wild adventure out in the world. Our psalm response said, "Blessed are the people the Lord has chosen to be his own." And I think the wonderful adventure of our life is to come more and more each day to know really what that means. To again know what our identity and our purpose is, and being people who belong to the Lord. And I think that we can maybe take a little step in each day. Even if we feel like maybe our faith isn't so strong all the time, or wondering where it is that God is leading us. I think Jesus makes it a little simpler for us in our gospel reading, where he says that we're to be like servants who await the master's return. Servants who aren't caught up in just our own stuff, but who are placing ourselves at the service of others. It's an active kind of journey. Jesus says, "Gird your loins and light your lamps." Now that "gird your loins" line kind of seems strange, perhaps. But back in that day, of course, they wore these long robes like this. This is where the tradition of this comes from. But you couldn't go running. You can't go running in these. So when he says to gird your loins, it's kind of like take this stuff and kind of like tie it up, you know, or stick it in your belt. You probably weren't expecting to see this when you came to church today. It's a good thing they're not taking pictures today. But it's that making ourselves ready to take a step in faith, to come to know more who God is and what he's calling us to, our identity and our purpose as people who belong to him, who look to serve him through our ministry to one another, and then to discover the fact that we're made in the image and likeness of the God who is self-giving love. And this wonderful adventure that we're on, it's leading somewhere, like all journeys do. Jesus says the Father is pleased to give you the kingdom, and that he's going to come and knock on our door to share his very life with us completely. in our gospel, he says that when the master comes, he will have the servants recline at table, and he will wait on them. We have this anticipation of this great heavenly wedding banquet that the Eucharist is just a little taste of, but I think helps us on our own journey to be able to respond to the Lord's promptings in our life, to continue to take a little step each day towards being people who are the Lord's own. So as we encounter Christ here in the Mass today, let's recognize, again, the abundance of his love for us, his desire to truly have our life caught up in his, who is the Lord of all. And to have that grace and that courage to take a step in faith, knowing that he is with us all the way.